Hi, this is Big Momma. I just finished my Dear Julie January Just Junk Journal Challenge for 2026, and I wanted to show you this journal. I am in the state of Kansas, and next week is Kansas Day on the 29th, and I thought, well, while other people are thinking a January winter journal, I was thinking Kansas Day and sunflowers. So I got Julie's digitals, and I want to tell you about them. She, in 2023, did a sunflower digital, and so I used it. I used, she did for the Patreons, a watercolor of sunflowers, and that I used. And then in 24, she did more sunflowers, and she also did a black and white digital. So all of those are incorporated in here, plus a few extra little odds and ends that felt like they looked good on that page. So I hope you'll go and check out Dear Julie's Etsy shop and find some great digitals. I've had these digitals for years and used them in so many journals that you may purchase something for $5 and use it in so many projects. So don't hesitate to go and find the thing that really works for your genre. I love anything old and vintage, as you can see. And so I had a 1907 book that the spine was completely devastated by wear. And so I took that and I printed her sunflower. I don't know if you can really see it very well back here, but I'm going to bring it forward. And now I printed the sunflower digital on a tea bag. And then I took that and used the gel matte medium and put the tea bag on there, and then went back with different inks to work on the cover, because it was just really worn out from being thrown around, and it had been a weathered mess. But I was able to use it in this. And then I took some brown packaging, the thick brown paper packaging, and I used it on the spine. Plus I used the bookmaker's material, and see how this is all the cover, and this is not a digital or anything. I just added the inks, and then afterwards I went back over it with Waverly's wax, a liquid wax that you put on furniture, and I put that on here and worked with the heat gun and my very favorite buffing cloth. We learned to use these when I was in the Army, and we polished our boots, and it still works for polishing. So thank you, Drill Sergeant. I am still using your skills. But this is wrapped with sari silk around it. And the reason why I did that is I thought to add something in here like buttons, because I didn't know for sure the integrity of the book board after it had been so weathered, and I didn't want, because it is really full, I didn't want the pressure to cause the button to rip out of it or the eyelets to rip out of it. So I just wrapped the sari silk around it and tied the bow to give it some security, because she's eaten an awful lot like my journals usually do. So she doesn't look like it right now. I've got her corseted for just a second. But in the famous experiences of all of my other videos, we are going to go boing, and we are going to pop her right open. But again, I want you to see that how the brown paper I used, let me get it for you so you'll see. This is a book guard, and I used that on the underneath side to strengthen the brown paper so that it doesn't rip and tear on you. So put everything away because I'm learning to clean as you go. So here we go. I'm going to open her up. And so you ready? So she doesn't bounce like last month's little angel one. I don't know. Maybe the pioneers, they didn't eat as much, but there, I'll spread her out there. There you go. I just love that. Okay, so on the inside cover, I used this is a dish towel that had been inked up, and then a doily. So I cut it and put that pocket there. And this was out of we were use magazines, and we could use a cookbook or a book, and so we have this that was for the pioneers and how they were. I love how this has got that lean-to that they built. And so then I also printed on some tissue paper here, and then Julie has a dandelion digital that was for the Patreons, and so I used it. We were to make some ruffled edges, and I used my lace and made the ruffled edges, and then I took her digital and made a tiny little sticker here on that page. And then she wanted us to, because we're just using our junk, I used some old jewelry and use that to stamp on here. And I also used, I hate getting up in front of you guys. Well, it's just corrugated cardboard. You don't always have to see everything, because I don't want you to see how big Big Momma is. Watch some of my old videos where I mistakenly got up out of the chair. Yeah. So I just put the ink on the corrugated cardboard and lined my papers. And so this is coffee dyed paper. And did the jewelry, again, broken jewelry. Then I used my old ledger, and this was out of a journal. And then here is my waterfall flip, and so a little page and then another one. And then on this page, because there was writing, and I always like my journal to have writing space, and so here is some writing already on it. So I took old receipt and put that on there over it so that it looks like it was just thrown on the desk. And so then I did it also on this side of that page so that you have writing space here where somebody else has already got their old handwriting, so that it just looks like it's a pile of papers. And so then I added this out of one of my notebooks that I have and covered that up too. And then those pages are back here on the other side so that you can do the waterfall. And then this was out of a La Mode, I think is how you pronounce it, magazine. So it's an 1800s magazine, so I didn't use the original. I made a photocopy of it, and I copied it on the coffee dyed paper. And some more ledger, and this is, we were to make tabs, and so I don't know if you can see here at the top, this edge. This is from the old spine of this book. I used that top of the old spine and made my tabs using just little itty-bitty scraps. At the very end, I did this so that I have scraps left. I'm looking up here at my scrap pile. Scraps of lace and stuff from having worked on the rest of the journal. And we were to put a letter in the center of the signature. And so what I did was I used a junk mail envelope, any envelope, and so I had this old letter, and I ran the lace, this lace tie, and then I put lace on the flap and reinforced where it had been ripped open. And so then this is the original letter that came in that envelope, and I thought, well, I'm just going to keep it together for whoever buys this. They can read that letter to a family. I thought it was kind of special. So, and you can take it out and put your own letter in there if you want to. And some more ledger. And we were to build a belly band. And so I built this one using a book page. And this is some wallpaper that we were supposed to use. And also I had wrapping paper. And this wrapping paper I have is got different postcards. And I thought, well, that is just really, really cool because it sticks with kind of the feel of this whole thing. And so that's what I also used when I was making my tags and so I used, this is actual wrapping paper, and then this is we were supposed to use some pattern paper or tissue. And so what I did here was I ink, you can see the stain on my table here. I didn't clean it very well for you guys today, but I took the lid off of one of my jars and spritzed the ink with some water, put it down, and then just sit this, but I had gotten this wet first so that when I sit it down with the ink kind of spread out into the water like you do with watercolor. And so it looks like a cup of coffee had been put there. And then I used Julie's digital here and did an oval and used the hook and eye to put in the seam binding here, and so attach that all together. And we were supposed to use file folder, and I embossed it with copper embossing, so you can see how that's put together. And then we were to do a tip in, and so I did a tip in of the map. Her digital is here, and this is a little tuck here that we can put something small in. Might be a ticket that you had at a movie or something like that. And so then that's the back side with one of the steamships. And so that's how I tipped it in with some washi tape. And this is my fabric flip with a notebook. And so I put, this is her digital, and I put it on some lace. And then this is a hanky for my fabric flip. And then here are the different pages that I put in here for my scrappy notebook. And I used it on file folder. And then this is a belly band with a job. And so the job is, I took these pieces here, the calendar, and the little, this memorandum was from this calendar book, and I printed her digital on vellum, and then put those like, a snippet almost, or a masterboard, but then turned that into a pocket, and I put this little postcard down in there, and it has a pocket. So, because Julie loves pockets and she cannot lie, I thought I'd impress her, you know, try to impress the teacher with the pockets. And, come on, I think I am doing okay with time until I get stuck doing things like this, and then I'm off. So that's the end of her digital, and into the next one. And this was a flip up pocket, so I put the pocket here on the bottom and have her postcard here, and I used this is from a map, and made a little notebook on the front of it, glued that on there. And then this is again one of those tabs, and I put it at the top. I just like the way things are sticking out here at the top as well as the side, so that's why I chose to put them at the top. And then on this side here is another one of the see my words, as long as you guys can fill in the blanks, I'm okay. That is a tag. I found the word. So this is a back-to-back pocket, and so it is a page here. And what I did was I used packaging, and I flipped up the packaging here, and then I crushed the packaging on, I glued it onto a book page, so the packaging is smooth on the inside here of the pocket, and that way you can put letters or whatever you want inside the pocket and not have to worry about it getting hung up. And then I took her digital and put it to some of the double-sided tape and put the digital then on the page so that it would stick on there. And so it's going to be on the other side of the pocket too of this digital. And then did the button down here with some of the lace, and then put lace here on this and this book page. And I thought that the things that were in there and helps to study. And but it said here on the children's book, it says rich prairies. And because I think of this as a prairie journal and the journey that the pioneers had, I thought that that would be a good story to have in it. And again, some more of the writing paper. And this is an old calendar that I had made a photocopy of. And let me see. Yeah, I put it on the coffee dyed paper. And then this is Julie's digital. And I put this lace collar on here from a garment. And so this is my flip flap. Oh, it's a flip flop with a flap. There we go. And so when you turn it here, on this side is a little pocket. And then this is a place that you can write. And then it's got the flip flap that pulls everything over. Alrighty. If I'm sure that I'm going to forget some of these things that she had us do. She wanted us to make 5 of our journaling cards, and so I backed them with some ledger. And the front has the magazine and her digital. And then this page, the digital, is actually on the page from the vellum that I cut out of the Dandelion book. And this is the other side of the back-to-back pocket. And then here, this is glued on, and it is, this picture was from the book, and I used this from the calendar, and put this is glued on so that you can stick something under it if you've got some other pictures or something you want to put under it. And then here's the pocket. And here, got the journaling card. And then back here for my ruffles. So every signature is going to start with a ruffle. And every signature is going to have one of those little in tabs. And then this is my top tuck. And another one of the journaling cards. And then I back that page with the, what have I got hanging down here? Oh, that's off of that letter. I need to tie it back up. This one I put to the side. I liked it up underneath the 513. And so I put that to the side. And then we were to use a junk mail envelope. And I had this old 1940s junk mail envelope, and so I put it is the stuck, double tuck stuck, and so I have tissue paper here on the back. I lined it in the inside with tissue paper to give that old antique envelope some strength, and then it has one of her postcard digitals inside it that has the, oh, got you upside down. I used the file folder. Oh my goodness, it's here. I'm just going to sit you over there. And then what I did with this, because I went, well, let me do this one first. This is the double envelope page. And so these are envelopes that when you get, you collect stamps. These are those, but they're clear so that you can read the article that is in here. And so you can read this whole article. And so then what I did, when I sewed this in, I sewed it in to where this could open up and flip up, and you could get the whole picture of their journey. And then you can also get these pictures on the back here. And then I have my lace pocket, the fabric pocket here. So that I thought was going to be a little bit easier, but boy, I tell you what, when it comes to sewing in that digital signature, oh my goodness, that was just a little bit of work, and I did take my time. And another one of my tags, and more pages to write on, some more of that lace. And then this is my side tuck, and then that's the back. Aren't these beautiful? This is that black and white that she has. It's gorgeous. It's got pages that are contemporary, and it also has pages like this that would go really good in a vintage looking journal, which I think did. I'm hoping this looks vintage anyway. If it doesn't, don't tell me, okay? So then we were to do she calls it a 6-pack pocket page, and so you have 6 of the little squares that you fold up, and 2 go here, and then the other 4 on the other side of the signature. And I just put a grungy ticket in there, music paper, and then this is double pocket, and so I put one of the photos that I had, and then this is a Kansas map pocket, and then I made this rosette here using an offcut off of her digital and a magazine page, and then this is the magazine page, and it is April of 1878. So now you know why I didn't want to cut it. I just photocopied it. And then this, and we were to use an envelope in here, and so this is an envelope, and I used all the scraps of this envelope are used in here somewhere. And again, this is just taking that lid off of a jar, little jar, and putting it down in that water and creating that to where it looks like it's been sitting on a desk, not appreciated. That's some more of the wrapping paper. And then on the other side of the wrapping paper, I put tissue paper for writing to give it some strength. And then here, it is a tall pocket with a flap. And so there are 3 tall tags on the digital, and you put 2 of them back to back to make the pocket. And so I use the lace on here, I use magazine page up here to line it, and then I did this ruffle with the, well, not ruffle, but the lace on the edge, and added some old buttons. And that's the other side of the black and white. And then here is the flap. Then I took my corrugated cardboard stencil and stamped it here. And then I have made a little dangly paper clip, and this flaps open. This is one of Julie's digitals, and it will come across like that so that you can write on it, because the ledger page has all that writing, and I gotta have places for you to write. And so here again is the tissue paper, and then the back of that envelope. And this is my magazine page, and I just made it to where it'll flip open like that for you. A couple of pockets. I did this little rosette again with the banner and little tag. These were not, you don't have to fill the pocket, but since I might as well. So that's the same here. I did not have to fill these pockets, but I had this paper from a digital, and so, or a paper pad, I think, and so did that. And then this is the last signature with the dandelion. And so I started out with the front with that book, and then I wanted to end it with the book, and then in between my signatures are with the sunflower and the black and white. And so here is my ruffle edge, and this is, she wanted us to make a hidden journaling page. And so what I did here is I took this paper sack, and with the paper sack, let me see if I've got the other side. With the paper sacks, the bottom part of the paper sack, I undid it taking it apart carefully. And so it's got a couple of pockets here on the bottom part of it. And I folded the sack then in half. If I can find it again. Thank you for being patient with me. So then the top part of the sack I made into the hidden, there we go, the hidden journaling spot. So this is the paper sack. I added this paper, the notebook. She said we could use our little notepads, and so I put that on there. Her digital, I fussy cut around the sunflowers and put on the front of the bag. And then inside here is a greeting card. We were supposed to use a greeting card, so I did the greeting card. And then in the greeting card, I took this little kid's notebook, and his name was Frederick. And Frederick, the only page in his notebook that he did not write in is this page. And I put it in here so you could write on it, but he's got a little line there. So Frederick even wrote on this page. So there you go, Freddie. But I put that inside the greeting card so that you have all of that extra writing space. And then it goes back inside here and hides up underneath that lace and scrap of linen. I think that was an old sheet that I had. And so then it is hidden inside that bag, your writing space. And so you can write that secret letter. And then she wanted us to do, she calls this the sailboat. And so I put this, this is a August 10th, 1901. It is a notice of the result of drawing for the El Reno Land District. There it is. This is your result. And so Brett Wiley got this card. How about that, Brett? And so what I did was I put this piece of linen on here. I have this little ticket that goes in the pocket. I used my wrapping paper, and then on the wrapping paper I backed it with some of that brown paper from that envelope that I told you I used every scrap. I backed it on here so that it could come down and up real easy, and then the sail of the sailboat then pops up, and I use that corrugated cardboard to stamp it, and I thought, well, why not go wonky? And so I went this way with it too. And so that is the brown paper, holds this down, and that goes in the pocket. And there you go, Mr. Wiley. And this is broken jewelry that is here, and Julie's digital is here on a magazine page. And that's some more of the wrapping paper, how pretty it is. And this we could use, we call it dibs, because Julie, when she's inking her papers and stuff, I go dibs because it looks so cool. And so she said we had to use some dibs paper. So that's some dibs paper where I had splattered and inked, and you can see this little line where I glued, and I put some powder on it so that it's not sticky anymore. But that is some of my brown paper, dibs paper. And then there, I had already showed you the other side of that pocket. And this is the digital. It was her October 2024 watercolor page for the emeralds in her Patreon. And there you go in the back pocket. And this is another one of those photos. And this is a picture from Abilene, Kansas. This is for sale. I hope that there's somebody out there who likes a good old grungy. I love the way that looks with that sunflower on it. It's just, it's faded into history. And so I will just give me a shout out that you're interested in buying this, and I'll get her to you. So thank you so much for watching my video. You are all just been so wonderful to encourage me along the way these years. I started this when I started watching Julie back when there was COVID going on, and I've been addicted ever since. I love the women in the community and the men. There are some that pop in. But I am a grungy kind of girl, and I love working with my grunge, and I'm glad that Julie has digitals that work right into the spirit of me. But whatever type of crafter you are, she has a digital in there for you. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.